Hello, today I would like to go over with you a lesson that I created when working on the ELA Essential Element RL 3.3, which is identifying feelings of characters in a story. So I used PBS Learning. They have some free folktales that you can watch. They're videos that you can also download. This particular video is about Pastorcita, which is a similar story to Little Bo Peep. It is both in Spanish and in English. And as you can see, if you go down a little, there's some other folk tales as well. So there's quite a few options here. If you go to PBS Learning, you can also share it to your Google Classroom, which is really great. So just wanted to share with you that really great website and resource. And then I'm going to go through my story elements smart lesson that I created that I broke down for my students, and I'm going to show you how I modified and differentiated it for our alternately assessed students. So I started off with presenting them with all the 5 story elements. Sometimes I will include a video that will also talk about it to capture their attention. But then as we go through, because we're up to the emotions and identifying the feelings of the characters, I kind of briefly just run through the overall story elements so they get familiar with what they are, and then I go through these just to kind of give them an idea. I don't want them to forget what we've worked on, but then we hone in a little deeper into emotions, feelings, the main character, how the main characters feel about their problems. So let's go through. So what I did here was I embedded some Boardmaker symbols into my smart lesson. This is also something you can do on a Jamboard, you can do on a PowerPoint, but I just wanted to show a smart lesson because sometimes we use this, and this we can present to our students if we just go into our full screen, right? So you can go through and share that with your students just the same as you would if you were in the classroom. So here we go through who the characters are, a person, animal, or object that plays an important role in the story. We hone in on the main character who plays an important role in the story. And then I ask my students to get that formative assessment. Who's the main character in our story, right? We just watched Pastorcita. I tried to find a Boardmaker image that looks similar to the character that was in our video to kind of give them that visual cue to cue them into what we're talking about. And then let's go through some emotions. Emotions are the way a person feels or a strong feeling a person has. And again, I provided some visual supports for my learners so they can see some examples of excited, sad, happy, right? So I wanted to give them some visual cues. And again, I utilized some Boardmaker icons. This one was lonely because I wanted them to be familiar with the icons. This is something a lot of my students use on their AAC devices. So I pulled from that and worked with my speech therapist, and we came up with these. So then let's move along. And then I have conflict, right? Another word for the problem in the story. The problem in the story. What's wrong in the story? So I kind of give them an idea of what they're looking for. A conflict or a problem is something that goes wrong. Let's keep moving. I'm going to get out of our full screen here because it's a little hard to see. So what I did here was I then go into the problem. The problem is what is wrong in the story. What is the problem, right? So draw a picture of the problem. And what I did was I captured 2 images from our video. So I want my students then to be able to either move the actual icons to the middle, right? So that they don't have to draw it. They could just utilize the images that I captured, or I can have them circle it, right? If it was in a Jamboard, you can do that. You can have them identify which one, where she's sad, right? Or was it when she was reunited with her sheep? And then you can circle it for them, or you can slide it up into the middle, right? So there is our problem of this in the story. It is that she lost her sheep, right? That's the problem. So then I moved into the problem in the story. We had 2 problems in Pastorcita. First, she lost her sheep, and then those sheep lost their tails, right? So I increased the field of pictures that my students would have to identify from, but I still captured those images that were from the story, right? So giving them that visual cue, but a very meaningful one because it was images from the actual video that we watched together. So they noticed their tails were gone. Her tails are up in the tree. And then this was a picture of her being happy, right, going through the fields. So the second problem was that how is Pastorcita going to get those tails down off that tree and back on those sheep, right? So that was the 2 problems. Next, I wanted to say, like I said, we're identifying the emotions of the characters. So once again, I pulled out those images, right? This was her problem when she lost her sheep, and then over here was when she was happy and they were all reunited. So I wanted to ask Pastorcita, how does she feel in these pictures? So again, I captured the images from the videos and I put them in here right into a smart lesson for my students to be able to write in the answer, type in the answer, tell me, and I can write or type it. Again, you can have those icons that we had up here for our emotions and add them into this slide so that they could pull up an image, right? If you want your students to be able to pull the icon or drag the correct icon to the correct picture, you can have them already posted down here, and you can draw a line, have your students draw a line to the correct picture, whatever that may be. So again, you can utilize this, like I said, PowerPoint, Jamboard, Google Slides, whatever works for you. I chose Smart Notebook just because it's a different feature, and I know that a lot of our schools have that. So wanted to give you some options on how you can present different lessons to your class. And then finally, I pulled some more of those pictures, right? So if my students got it when we're up here, I might want to increase my field to a field of 3. This one's a little more a harder emotion to identify, right? So she's surprised. Oh my gosh, where are their tails? And then she's like, oh darn. She's like, how the heck am I going to get them? She's confused. She doesn't know what to do. And then the tails are back on their sheep. They're all happy and dancing, right? So again, focusing on those pictures from our video, I can either add icons in, I can have my students tell a partner they're feeling, right? They could do breakout groups, they can do small group. You can have them turn and tell a partner, how do you think she feels, right? Do they agree? Thumbs up, thumbs down. And you can have yourself write it in, type it in, have your para support you by writing or typing it in. Or you can have a student go back and forth and write or type in. Or like I said, if your students are using AAC devices, you can have those icons already copied and pasted here to be drug up or to draw lines to identify what the feelings are in each picture, right? So I use these slides to kind of hone into that emotions part of the story. And this is how I modified from going through where I had 2 options, right? A smaller field to discriminate between, then our 3 images to discriminate, and then honing in on how does she feel, giving 2 options, or we can move along and provide those 3 options, right? And then kind of just went through the last bit. If you get to that, you can continue on with what the plot is, our beginning, middle, and end, again, utilizing our icons, and then how is the problem solved with our solution, right? But you're going to spend the brunt of your time in here identifying, the problem is wrong. How does our character, our main character, feel about that problem, right? How does she look? How does it seem like she feels, right? And, if your students are able to draw their own pictures, have at it, right? If you're on the Jamboard, if you're able to utilize an interactive platform like that, definitely do it, where they can draw in, choosing different colors or whatever it is. But this is a great way for your students who maybe don't have that fine motor skill to have that picture there to support them. So I hope that this gave you some ideas on how to use a video and pull out those images of the video and adapt it for your students that may not have the fine motor skills. You can still utilize something where they can drag and drop, where they can circle the pictures that you have there for them. So just thinking of a different way to have your students be able to respond to you. So I hope this gives you some ideas on how you can work collaboratively with your students during your We Do component of your lesson, and I hope you can use this and it's helpful.